Yo, what's up? My name is MOONBOY, and today we're making melodic dubstep. Melodic dubstep is a really special genre. It has the powerful energy of bass music with emotional melodies blended in, creating one of the most incredible EDM genres. So how do you actually make melodic dubstep? There are 5 key elements when it comes to building a full song. And also to make your song stand out, I've got an extra bonus tip at the end of this video that would turn your song from something basic to something really incredible and next level. Alright, I think it's time we get started. Today we're going to be building a full melodic dubstep song from scratch. Step number 1, the drums. Alright, so let's open up our DAW. I'm going to be using Ableton for this tutorial, but you can follow along in FL, Logic, even an iPhone DAW, so no excuses. Okay, so we're going to start by setting the speed of our song, also known as the BPM. You can find it on the top left corner over here. Dubstep and trap is usually around 140 BPM. Now for my default Ableton project, I have some groups right here. I highly suggest you organize your project. So I have a folder called drums and I put all the drums in here. So I'm gonna rename these tracks, right click, rename, put kick, snare. If you press tab, you can go immediately to the next audio track to rename. Now it's time to select the samples that we're gonna be using for this song. If you go to the top left up over here, and click this icon that is the file manager icon, and here is where you'll be selecting all your samples. It's very important to have hard-hitting, crisp, and modern drum samples for your song. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using my Chrome Production Suite drum samples. So first, pick a kick. Cool, I like this one. Find a snare. I like all these ones I call the atmosphere. Find a hat. And let's find a crash. So let's zoom in what we got right here by clicking and holding this magnifying thing right here. Let's get like a little 4-bar loop going. So we're gonna loop this section, Command L, and now you have a loop. This is the pattern of trap, also dubstep as well. The snare will be in the middle of each beat. So we click the snare, Command C, or right click copy, and then right click paste in between each beat. Let's put the kick on the downbeat of each beat. Cool. Let's also put a hat on each 8th beat to fill in the empty space. If I click and hold and drag a square over here and press Command D, it'll duplicate on each line. Awesome. I'm gonna customize my drum beats by changing the volume of some things I feel like it's a bit loud. So I'm gonna bring down the hats by like -6. And then I'm gonna throw on a simple glue compressor on the whole group, and that prevents it from going past 0, from clipping. Now we have a really dope drum beat, because it's kind of dubstep style. So now to make it trap, we're gonna delay the second beat, because trap has kind of a more of a rhythm. So let's drag this second kick and move it over here. Maybe make another one. We're gonna add more too, to make it more rhythmic. Pro tip, you can make your drum beat more unique by adding more human characteristics in your drum beats, such as adding some volume swinging in the hats. So if I make every hat in between, double click this clip and make it, let's just say like -9 decibels, and then drag that in between each beat, select this area, Command D to duplicate. It's more human and adds more rhythm. You can add a tiny crash as well in between some beats. So if I click this crash right here and I press Command E, it splits that crash sample, and now I can use like the midpoint as like another crash. It just makes it a more lighter crash. So then I can copy and paste this over here. Let's see how that sounds. You can get more crazy and add like a little more of the crash in different places. Awesome, now you know how to make an epic trap and dubstep drum beat. Alright, now for step number 2, the melody. This is gonna be the story of your song. Every song has a chord progression, and basically, once you have that, you kind of have already the mood and the story and the whole body of your song, and everything is easier from there. So, to start building our melody and chord progression, we're gonna open up back to our file view right here, and we're gonna open up a grand piano where we can play chords and melodies and figure out what our song is gonna be. So if we go to instruments over here, I'm gonna go to search and type in grand piano. click and drag that over to a MIDI clip right here. If you don't have a MIDI clip to drag it into, you can right click and put insert MIDI clip. So now we have a grand piano and we can play. Awesome. I'm just gonna make this sound a little bit better. I need some glue, reverb, some release. Now we can start building our melody. Select and hold this whole area, right click and click insert empty MIDI clip. This is where we're gonna draw our notes or record them and play them into. If we click this headphone icon right here, you can hear all the notes. So real quick, I'm gonna click all the drums by holding shift and clicking the first and last ones and pressing this arrow over here to make them smaller. Now I can kind of see them in like a smaller form. Okay, cool. Let's close this up right here. You can close any window and resize any section of Ableton by dragging the ends of them right here like this. If we make this bigger, we can drag the edge of this to kind of like spread and see the whole piano roll. We can drag this as well to make it bigger. So the cool thing about Ableton is that whatever notes we play on this piano, you can see on the piano roll. Super cool. So we're gonna be writing our song in the key of C major / A minor. These both have the same notes. It's the easiest key and most awesome because basically all you have to do is play all these big white keys and just ignore these small black ones right here, and basically you will never hit a wrong note. Every chord has a number and each has their own feeling, so we can use these 1 through 7 to figure out what chord progression we want. If we want a happy story, we can make it start with this. So I'm gonna start with the 4. And then I'm gonna add some tension. And then it's gonna be this dark, sad, epic feeling. Awesome, let's put that in. If you click this record button right here, that'll start recording whatever you do. And make sure this arm button is on the piano. So basically we're gonna record us playing these chords. So ready? 2, 3, 4. So that's a bit fast. I'm gonna duplicate this whole drum section so it plays twice. I want the chord progression to be a bit slower so it has more time to soak in that emotion and have a bigger epic feel. So now let's loop this whole section right here. Now let's record again. Cool, now that we have that, what I like to do is I will select and hold this whole area and press Command J. That will consolidate the MIDI clip and make it perfectly 8 bars or perfectly the square so you don't have any mess ups. Usually when you record, whenever you stop, that's kind of like the end. And now we're gonna quantize. So I'm gonna press Command A to select all of them, go to quantize settings, and then adjust start to end. And let's make it 1/4. Let's also click legato. Let's solo the grand piano. Let's hear it. Sounds good. Pro tip, here's a really great way to spice up a chord progression. Obviously this sounds decent, but we want to make it sound bigger and more epic. We want to add more feeling into it and have more depth to it. So a great way to spice up a regular chord progression, bring the root note down 1 octave. On Ableton, select all these root notes, press shift down, grab these ones as well. We can bring this one up as well. Awesome, this sounds epic. We have a really awesome chord progression. If you want a few chord progressions you can try out in your own song, I'll be including that in the description below. If you download my free Chrome beta, it includes not only drums, serum presets, melodies, vocals, and really everything you need to make all kinds of electronic music genres. So now that we have a chord progression, we can start building our song around this. Literally, this is all you need. For example, root notes right here, like the bass notes. That'll be like the pad bass or like the bass line underneath. And then sometimes like maybe like the second note right here, we'll be using in that maybe as like the vocal melody. It's awesome about C major and A minor that you can just really freestyle and kind of create really great melodies. It doesn't have to be complicated. You see I'm playing one note. It's pretty awesome. Next step is the sound design. Basically what sound design is creating synths and basses to play a melody or chord progression that you create. I got the root note of this, and then I put a respace, like a pad bass. To make a nice respace, it's really simple. Literally, all you do, get 2 wavetables and detune one of them up slightly, and the other one down slightly. and that creates that like phasey effect. And you add a filter on both of them. So you click on B. And what's nice is to add mono and legato. That way it does a nice little bend. You can even add this keyboard mode on so the filter follows the notes. And then what's also nice is if you just throw on, you know, like some OTT compression. And then distortion, maybe put that first. Really fun. Here's another example of how to make a chord sound more interesting. So after adding rhythm, I'm gonna go ahead and delete these top notes right here. And then I'm gonna grab the root notes, the bass notes, and make them really low. It really sounds nice. So awesome. So now let's sound design a quick little pluck. So let's grab a filter, maybe like a LFO on the filter, put it on the cutoff, bring it down. And if we click and hold this middle option right here on LFO, and then we just put envelope so it stops, it doesn't keep repeating. So let's press and hold on the keyboard option and shift and then click the LFO icon right here. That'll make it go from left to right to only up. I'm gonna click and drag this to find a good spot. Make this a bit slower by turning the rate down right here. And I'm gonna increase the unison on the first oscillator and then bring the detune down. That's very dead mousey now. I like that. I'm gonna bring the random down just to make it more punchier. And we can add some cool things like delay, reverb, and add a compressor to compress it all. Bring the threshold up. Let's change the reverb to Hall. Now if we add a macro to the filter, we can bring the cutoff down to make it more plucky. That's super dead mousey. We can speed up the delay so it's more like, just fills up the room more. We can delay left and right slightly just to make it more wide. At this point, you just mess around, play with the effects, see which one sounds best to you, like this. Maybe I'm gonna automate the filter to slowly open as the song rises. Love that. That's the really awesome thing about melodic dubstep is that you can incorporate elements from other kind of melodic music and it just really adds so much depth to your song. I find it so fun. I like blending in multiple genres into one. Like for example, I added some synth melodies on top. I added some brass sounds. These brass sounds are so legit. Okay, now that I built tension up with these melodic synths, we have to drop it really hard and intense. I created a series of really incredible synth basses that are simple but just so powerful. Yeah, so let me show you how I did them. By the way, I used Serum 1 for this, but Serum 2 can do it just fine. The power in these basses are not in the complexity of how many different effects or whatever that you can put on it. When you have a very simple but effective sound, it can really just like blow up the speakers and just blow people's minds away. So for this one, we have a mixture of like this saw triangle. And what's creating this like tone is because it's not just a regular saw wave. Otherwise it'd just be too buzzy. Like what's really creating the character and the tone of the sound is this notch and little pass filter. So by creating little EQ notches and little bells on an EQ, you can create this like kind of like valley sound. And if you increase the resonance, I love that sound. Same with the notch. So dope. And then another thing is the noise, creating an extra warmth sound. So without it, but when you add this noise, it kind of sounds like more just bigger, you know. Then I have some distortion just to make it a little bit stronger. I have a low pass filter being automated up and then the low pass going down. So it creates a kind of like bite sound. It sounds so dope. It's like a monster trying to bite you, I guess. And then I have a flanger that's being automated later on. And then a multi-band compressor that creates kind of that swashing OTT compression effect. And then I have hyperdimension doing a very slight width. And so when it drops, this is how it sounds. I have a sort of call and response thing going on right here where I have the first big bass and then the second bass special about the second bass is that it has on the second oscillator harmonic note. So instead of just playing the regular note, it plays a seventh above. So it adds kind of like a power chord. So it's like. All right, time for the next step, the vocals. Now for the vocals of the song, I wanted them to be very emotional and ethereal, yet very powerful. So I hit up my good friend and amazing vocalist, May, to work on this one with me, and she absolutely killed it. Yo, what's up guys? I'm here with May. Music. Is that part of your... We're gonna be diving into the project, the vocal project that she did for Survive, and yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do you wanna hear what I used for stutters and everything? So
that's so nice. I actually really like the I think it's cool.
Because I had this specific sound in my head that I really wanted to sound like that, so I had to do it manually.
Now it's time to switch it up and make this song more unique. Time for the bonus tip. Make your song stand out by incorporating even more elements into it. So for this song, I want to incorporate a cyberpunky type vibe with kind of like a rolling bass line. And then maybe a very digital synth lead. And then I want the drums to be powerful but kind of lo-fi like. I did a lot of really cool tricks here. For example, for emphasis on the drop, when it was rising up, I cut out all the audio right before the drop and added like a breath. I added like a little glitch crush effect, so it's able to redux. I automated it going down. Added a really cool phone filter type voice effect. Auto filter and then a delay going fast. And I added some glitch cuts by cutting the volume automation. Alright guys, before we listen to the final results, I'm so excited to announce Chrome Production Suite. This is my biggest project I've done ever. Not only does it have the most sounds, samples, and presets for Serum and Serum 2, it contains an incredible library of production tools you can use for literally all genres of electronic music, whether it's melodic or high energy stuff like dubstep or techno or bass house. This is an exclusive product because it includes also a masterclass and exclusive community for producers. You can download the free beta to Chrome in the description below. Alright guys, if you liked this video and learned something, please leave a like and subscribe and comment below what you thought of it. Happy producing guys.